All right, good afternoon. My name is Tom Witt, and I am with the New York Healthy Workplace Advocates. There's a great need for a law that will protect men and women, parents and their children, the young and the old, from workplace bullying. Workplace bullying isn't about teasing and horseplay at all. Workplace bullying is repeated and repeated verbal abuse and psychological abuse in the workplace, and it mimics the behaviors of domestic violence. Workplace bullying harms individuals, families, employers, and our whole society. The same abusive behaviors, which are illegal if they can be proven to be attributed to the violation of one's Title VII civil rights, to sexual harassment, or to another protected status, are perfectly legal and 4 times more prevalent in instances of behavior that are status blind, such as man on man, black on black, woman on woman, white on white, Asian on Asian, Hispanic on Hispanic. Why should 80% of those who are experiencing workplace abuse have absolutely no legal recourse to stop that repeated and relentless harassment? Why do we cherry pick who will be protected from relentless harassment in the state of New York? The Healthy Workplace Bill, S. 4289, A. 4258, offers recourse to the unprotected and incentives for ethical employers to stop abuse at work. I would like to thank everyone who's attending the press conference today, who's taken time from their day, and I'd like to thank everyone who's in the front of the room here who's going to participate and speak to those who are assembled to advance this important piece of legislation. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the people who are in the room today. And we have, originally the bill was put in by Assemblyman Steve Englebright. Our prime sponsor in the Senate is Senator Diane Savino. We have speaking today from the New York State Nurses Association, Sean Flynn. From Healthcare Coordinating Council, CWA District 1, Michael S. Gary. From the Professional Staff Congress, Iris DeLutro. From the Public Employees Federation, Tom Comanzo. From the Mental Health Association in New York State, John Richter. From the New York State Psychological Association, Tracy Russell. From SISFI, Brett Scudder. We'll also have Mike Schlicht, the other fellow who is behind the New York Healthy Workplace Advocates. And we are going to have personal accounts from several people here. Neil Dees, Diana Whitaker, Heidi Ellerton DiTono, and Colleen O'Connor. And so I'd like to begin by turning the lectern over to Assemblyman Englebright.
Thank you, Tom. This is a very important bill. We've seen bullying in the news this year with tragic consequences and high profile. That's a little different from several years ago when Tom Witt and other advocates approached my office and said, you know, this is a really serious problem. But when I talked to many of my colleagues, I said, you know, we haven't seen much of this in the news or heard much about this from our constituents. And so we started looking into it and discovered that, in fact, this was sort of a dirty little secret. It's common, it's widespread, it has devastating effects upon the morale of workplace environments and a devastating impact on the productivity of all sorts of enterprises, including governmental enterprises. And so we put the bill in. We were joined with the strong support of Diane Savino on the Senate side, and we began the journey of public awareness. We're now at a point where that public awareness has crystallized, and this bill, long overdue, is important to move. I spoke to Assemblyman Keith Wright the other day, who is the chair of the appropriate committee in the Assembly, and he indicated that he wanted to move this bill and would do so. So part of what we're announcing this morning is that this is a priority for this session. The journey of awareness has reached a point where we have 82 sponsors in the Assembly, and we think that it is time to move the bill and to make it law, put it on the governor's desk. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you all for helping to bring this very important issue to our awareness. Now we need to do our part.
Good afternoon, or good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Diane Savino. I'm happy to be here again as we talk about how important it is to get this particular piece of legislation passed, partnering, of course, with Assemblyman Steve Englebright, and I know there are other members of the Assembly here you'll hear from afterwards, and of course all the advocates, union representatives, professional organization representatives. You know, when Article 7 of the EEOC was first passed, it was passed because people recognized that there are particular situations that employees should not have to endure in an effort to earn a living and put food on the table for their families. Sexual harassment, discrimination based on race, creed, gender, sexual orientation. We understood that those situations don't belong in the workplace. Well, the reality is, you are 4 times more likely to be the victim of workplace bullying and violence than you are of any of the other issues that Title VII of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act passes. That's why this bill is so particularly important. We've heard a lot this year about bullying. We know what's happening in schools with young people. We see what's happening on the internet. Well, the truth is, this happens every day in the workplace. And this particular bill, some people will tell you that this is a job killer. That's a fancy word they use a lot. Now, anything that's pro-employee is a job killer lately. It's not a job killer. In fact, this is a tool that responsible employers can utilize themselves. We don't need to get to the point where someone is victimized so badly that they either do something drastic to themselves or they wind up being the victim of violence against them. We don't have to get to that point. We need to give employees and employers tools that they can utilize to crack down on workplace bullying. We need to do this. We can do it this year. This is an important piece of legislation, and as we try and find ways to reduce bullying among our young people, we need to address bullying in our workplace. So I'm happy to be here again this year, and hopefully this time we'll be able to deliver both bills in both houses. Thank you.
I'd like to give the opportunity to speak to 3 Assembly members who have also joined us today at the press conference. First, I'd like to call Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther to the lectern.
Well, thank you for being here today, and I want to thank Diane Savino, Senator Diane Savino, and Assemblyman Steve Englebright for sponsoring this bill. I'm a co-sponsor, and I know how important it is to pass it this year, and I'm glad it's a priority for the New York State Assembly. And certainly workplace bullying and that kind of abuse needs to be stopped, and that's why we're here today. So thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to call Assemblyman Dennis Gabrizak to the lectern.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to join with my colleagues in government in support of this legislation, and not only my colleagues in government, but also the groups, the organizations, both professional, union, labor that is here in support of the bill. You need to create, and we need to recognize the fact that when you are at work, you need to have an environment that is stress-free, an environment that is safe, that is conducive to doing the job that needs to be done. This act is something that will help ensure that, make sure that everyone, when they go to work, they have the satisfaction or the right of knowing that they should be able to go ahead and perform their job in an environment that is conducive to that.
I'd like to invite Assemblyman Mark Johns to the lectern.
Morning, everyone. I'm Mark Johns from the 135th Assembly District. I'm here to show my support for this legislation with my colleagues. Workplace harassment can be a big problem, not only for the workers being harassed by their coworkers, but it can lead to violence. If you allow these type of problems to fester and you don't do something about it, that's where you read in the paper a lot of people coming back to work with guns and doing catastrophic things. So I think we need to stop this before it festers and turns into something even worse. I'm glad to be here with my colleagues today to support this legislation. Hopefully it's going to pass this year. Thank you.